on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change, yeah. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. I do not gamble, but bet on me. Tell them that's life, yeah, it's still of it. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they know I got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the option. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Let's fucking go, man. Let's fucking go. We hop on here every night and it's something new. It's something crazy. Last game, it was a Donovan Mitchell game winner, essentially. Tonight, it was a Darius Garland fourth quarter takeover, really a whole game takeover, and a pretty off night from Donovan Mitchell, might I add. It could not have come at a better time for this team. I mean, seriously, it's just, it was getting to a point tonight where I'm like, oh man, the streak is in danger. The streak is in danger. And you know what? The Cavaliers, they refused to go down. They refused to end this streak tonight, and I could not be happier. I had to update the title card here. Darius Garland is him. Oh my gosh. This performance from Darius Garland was reminiscent of 2021-22 Garland, in which he made the All-Star game. That's why I got my Darius Garland All-Star jersey on. I'm just in a I'm in a time warp right now, man. It's just, it's awesome. 39 huge points from Darius, 8 assists, 15 of 22, 7 of 11, 7 of fucking 11 from the 3-point line, 2 of 2. Only got 2 free throws tonight, but man, what a phenomenal performance from our guy DG. I continue to say, man, those of you who was ready to throw DG out with the bathwater, stay on that side. That's all I got to say, but I'm just kidding. Join the bandwagon. Come back. Darius Garland Island is back open for business. And I truly hope that all of you guys can now appreciate what this young man brings to the table. On a night when Donovan Mitchell just, again, not his usual self, 14 points, 5 of 15 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3-point distance, really just could not get it going at all. And you could tell. I don't know if he's tired. I don't know if it was just an off night from him, but Donovan clearly did not have it tonight. He sensed that. They tried to get the ball to Darius Garland a ton, and it eventually paid off at the end of the game. I was getting a little bit worried there, but they were able to get the job done. It wasn't just Darius Garland. Jarrett Allen showed up big time tonight too as well. So did Evan Mobley. You got a pretty big performance from Sam Merrill off the bench. Even George Niang chipped in 3 triples tonight that came at some very timely moments. But man, I got to give my respect once again to Damian Lillard. I got to give my respect to Damian Lillard and company, because they could have very easily just laid down on this one on the night when Giannis was not available and said, you know what, this is going to be a scheduled loss for us, and just went to bed. And that is not exactly what happened. Not at all. Damian Lillard on another night in which he goes for 30 plus once more, 36 points from him, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 of 9 from 3-point range. This dude has been ballistic. He has been ballistic from 3-point distance over these last 2 games. I think I want to say he's hit like 14 or 15 triples. That shit is crazy. This man, when he gets in his element, I just do not know what you do. I really do not know what you do when Damian Lillard starts knocking down some of these step back triples that he's getting. And there's the shitty rip through move where he's getting these calls. I hate it, but at the end of the day, the refs are going to give it to him. You just have to figure out a way to win over. Let me just mute this real quick. You got to find a way, as Kenny Atkinson's about to give his explanations on the night. But man, you got to give credit where credit's due. Damian Lillard really showed up tonight. Bobby Portis in fill-in duty for Giannis tonight was 21 points, 18 rebounds, almost came up with a 20-20 game, 10 of 21 from the field. But the real big performance for Milwaukee, in my opinion, was AJ Green off the bench. This motherfucker, man. I mean, he just refused to let the Bucks go. It's one thing when Damian's going off. It is one thing when Damian's going off, because normally when shit like that happens, you just let him get his, you let him cook, but contain his teammates. And that was absolutely not the case tonight, as his fellow Bucks teammates stepped up in Giannis's absence. We already talked about Bobby Portis, but AJ Green, man. 21 huge points off the bench, 7 of 9 from 3-point distance. And he kept the Bucks in this one. He kept them in it. And, as much as Damian did, AJ Green really had some big time shots, and they really shut up. And this felt like a possible trap game for Cleveland. And thank God it wasn't. And it's not exactly like Cleveland came into the night completely healthy either. Our wing depth was truly tested tonight. No Dean Wade, no Karis LeVert, and Max Strus remains out. So we got to see some early minutes from our guy, Luke Travers. We were all very, very ecstatic about getting to see early minutes from him, although it was only 3 minutes technically. But he picked up 3 fouls in the process. So that did not last long. Clearly, it wasn't the right time for him tonight. And that's okay. But to get him out there, get him some exposure, I will take it. I will take it. But yeah, so Cleveland had some injury issues of their own. Regardless, in a game like this, you have to come in mentally prepared, because you just don't know what the Bucks are going to throw at you without Giannis out there. And they kind of just gave the ball to Damian and let him operate and gave him full reign of the offense. And he was able to get some of his guys going. Like I said, Bobby. You got contributions from AJ Green. You did not, for the second straight night, get anything from you did not get anything from Gary Trent Jr. And I'm happy about that, right? As I said the other day, I will never forgive Gary Trent Jr. for what he did to our boy DG. And you know what? Consider a payback, Gary. Now you guys have been beaten on the, essentially big time shots these last 2 nights. So take that. I'm on one, man. I'm on one. Joe Durant says Kenny is him. Absolutely. The Cavaliers, 8 straight, right? Start the season 8-0. 8-0 for only the second time in franchise history. And you know what? I don't see a L in sight. I don't see an L in sight. I'm sorry. New Orleans better watch out. Golden State. Whew, we got something for them, right? And I'm hoping that we can get a little bit healthier as the season, rolls on. Again, we're not playing these guys heavy minutes, and that certainly helps. You're not playing anybody super heavy minutes out there. And for games like this, when you need to dig deep in the fourth quarter, it certainly has been beneficial already. Seriously, I mean, tonight was probably the one night where you got big time minutes out of your reserves. Not your reserves, out of your starters. Darius Garland led the way with 35 minutes. Jarrett Allen was also at 35 too. Evan Mobley at 32. Donovan Mitchell 31, and then Isaac Okoro 26, which is something that's become very, very characteristic of whenever he starts. He's almost exclusively never given a full complement of starters minutes. This is the same thing that you essentially see from Dean Wade. Unless you're Max Strus out there, you're probably not getting a full load of starters minutes at the 3. See you later. XBeat says, good night, y'all. Cavs fans from Spain. I hope you enjoyed the win, man. The Cavaliers, they just continue to win these games in stellar fashion. It's crazy, man. Umano _2 says, J.A. with 6 assists. Man, that word was kicking my ass. He has some quality dimes out there. The one that comes to mind for me was Sam Merrill's backdoor cut to the basket where Ja just kind of found him. J.A. found him down low. Beautiful type shit like that. And Jarrett Allen does not get enough love for his skill set as a passer out there. I absolutely love it. Mega MC3 says, yep, he gets way too sloppy when trying to play too much hero ball sometimes. Need to realize the team he has around him, find good shots, more team mentality needed. Nope. 45 is a team player, not an issue. Yeah, I think that when it all boils down to it, I think that Donovan Mitchell saw, and just to kind of dispute that idea, Ruffian, who says we can't have egos to win championships, and I'm truly concerned about Donovan's ego and superstar mentality and how it affects his team. It'll be the Paul Revere of this. I'll be the Paul Revere of this because this is a problem. Personally, I don't see that, Ruffian. I honestly believe that Donovan saw late down the stretch, because there was a couple of times when he could have forced his way to the basket for a possible trip to the charity stripe, and he decided to kick the ball out to Darius. They got the ball to Darius when it mattered. Donovan, of course, being Donovan, is going to want to take some of the big time shots down the stretch. But I have never seen a true ego issue on this team. I don't think any of, as a professional athlete, it is perfectly fine. It is perfectly healthy to have a healthy amount of ego. You don't get to the NBA. You don't get to where you are. You don't get to where Donovan is in the NBA without an ego. All of these guys, right? Even Darius. You don't get there without an ego. But I've never seen from this team where Donovan or Darius or Evan or Jarrett, never. You can never really question Jarrett in that regard. But I have not seen from any of these guys where ego has truly been an issue. It's pretty spread out. Nobody feels that they are above anybody else on this team. And I think Kenny Atkinson would nip that in the bud. So, I know I'm not trying to spaz out on you or anything, but I don't see any type of ego issue. It was just an off night from Donovan. And when Donovan needed to get the ball to Darius at the end of the game, he definitely did. And he took a step back. Rob says, is it me or do the Cavs get called on some tic-tac while we get mobbed on the other side and the refs go mute? It's just completely dependent, right? The Cavaliers are not a team necessarily that draw a huge amount of free throw calls. They're just not. I mean, it was a couple of nights ago, I put the stats up when we were talking about Paolo and his impact on what he brings to the table for Orlando. And at that time, this was at the time of the Orlando game, the leader for free throw attempts for the Cavaliers was Jarrett Allen. The style of ball that we play, we just don't generate a ton of foul calls. The 3-point attempts are up. The mid-range game in regards to certain players is up. And when we do attack the basket, it's been in transition. It's been off of cuts. And yeah, you can say, give or take, at certain points of the season already that there should have been some calls on some certain drives to the basket. But we just don't employ a style of basketball that generates a lot of calls. And prior to tonight, I'm looking the stats up right now in real time. Prior to tonight's game, our leader in free throw attempts per game is still Jarrett Allen at less than what it was going into the Magic game. It's now 4.6, and I'm sure it probably won't get any better. So we shall see. Let's see here. Elliot Clausen says, weird for Atkinson to challenge so early. Yeah, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. I think he probably did use that a little bit too early, but time will tell. Ruffian says, I guarantee after our first loss, everybody is going to be blaming Donovan's hero ball antics, not trying to cause dysfunction, but just watch. I don't think so. My main takeaway from this game was not going to be Donovan Mitchell. If we had lost this game, I was not going to put the blame on Donovan. Although there were some opportunities for him tonight to make some shots, some very makeable shots. But honestly, no. If we would have lost tonight, I would have chalked it up to some really good shooting from the likes of AJ Green and Damian Lillard, and us taking the foot off the pedal on us taking our foots off their throat on the defensive end, because we did give up a 19-point lead. And yes, offense and defense kind of go hand in hand, But I would not have blamed Donovan for that, and surely I can't predict the future, but I certainly can't think that I'm gonna blame Donovan because of perceived ego issues in our eventual first loss. XBeat says, "This man on the Bucks, Gray, Green, right?" I think that's who you're referring to, AJ Green, knocking down 7 of 9. John Vaughn says, "Crazy 8-0. Number 45 was the player of the week, and some dudes can only be negative." Yeah. I mean, guys, I mean, you got to take every win and compartmentalize it. No one win will be exactly an exact replicate of another, right? There were some definite comparisons to our other game against Milwaukee just 2 days ago. Hence, the big lead, but at the end of the day, this was a completely different fourth quarter. It was a completely different fourth quarter. Darius was the one who took it upon himself to step up, and Donovan Steed. Jarrett Allen had a big time block to seal the deal towards the end. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Sometimes you got to chalk it up to a bad night from an individual standpoint. But for the greater good of the team, these players all understand that every night may not be their night. Like, I mean, this is a perfect example. Darius, it was his night tonight, was not Donovan's. But man, just a lot of good takeaways from this game. Can you guys believe that Milwaukee shot 49% from 3-point distance? And I get that a lot of that is on the backs of Damian and AJ, but that to me is still crazy considering the fact that Gary Trent Jr. failed to knock down a triple tonight, 0 of 3 from the field. Brook Lopez, 1 of 5 from 3-point distance. Bobby Portis didn't knock down either of his 2 attempts, and they still shot 39%, 49% from 3-point distance to Cleveland's 46%. What are you going to do? We surrendered that lead. We got out rebounded. Shit, that's a big time. That is a big time thing right there. The rebounding, 49-39. Milwaukee won that battle 49-39, and they got 7 offensive rebounds to our 5. That's extra possessions, right? We did manage to deal the ball quite off a bit more than they did. 21 assists to 28 for Cleveland. But I mean, when Damian is knocking down step back triples, assists probably just don't matter that much, right? X Factor 2005 says, one of the funniest parts of the game was Brad Doherty asking John Michael who he is voting for, and John was trying his hardest to get off the topic. I mean, I would too, right? I mean, nobody wants to ask about their political opinion in a platform like this, unless you're exclusively going out to do that. I don't think either of those guys really planned on doing it. I know more so joking from Brad, but yeah, that was definitely a funny moment. Mike Weisson says every MVP has an off night. Completely agreed. You're not gonna, and that's the beauty in this Cavaliers team, right? Donovan Mitchell is absolutely capable of taking over every single night if need be. But the beauty of this core 4 is that not everybody is going to have a big night, but somebody else is going to be right there to pick them up, whether that be Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, or Donovan Mitchell. And when Max Strus comes back, if he is put into that starting lineup, he could be another option too. I mean, it's been crazy, man. It has truly been crazy. Joe Durant says, has this been the least amount of free throws a 8-0 team has ever shot to start the season? I would be very interested in finding that out. I'm going to have to do a little bit of digging on that. But again, Jarrett Allen is our current leader in free throw attempts per game at 4.2. So I'd have to imagine. And I said this earlier when I think I dropped a piece of content talking about overreactions from you guys over the first 7 games. And one of the things that I found out was that there has been just one team in NBA history to score 100 points in every single game of the regular season. That, my friends, was the 1981-82 Denver Nuggets, who averaged 126.5 points per game. They never scored fewer than 105 points. Again, remain the only team in NBA history to ever do that. And obviously, we don't care about how many points this team scores at the end of the day as long as they win, but scoring a shit ton of points helps. So run the score up whenever you can. It'll only help, right, in the long run. But at the end of the day, as long as we get the W, I'm okay with that. And I honestly truly believe that Cleveland has an opportunity to do just that this season. Another night in which they cracked 116 points from them. Kenny and company really have it rolling, man. Really, really have it rolling. Tom K says Luke Travers did not understand NBA whistle. Yeah, he was a little too physical out there. 3 fouls in 3 minutes. He'll learn. He'll learn. He'll take it as a learning moment. I think every rookie kind of has that moment, especially when you're coming over from a different league, right? Coming over from the NBL as he is. Probably not used to the physicality of NBA caliber athletes, not used to how the whistle is blown over here. I would assume because summer league and preseason basketball and playing in fourth quarters of blowouts, that's different. When the games are actually, when you're playing minutes that actually matter in the, the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, whatever, what have you, in tight games. Yeah. I mean, you're going to experience the differences. And I think it will be a learning moment for Travers. And again, he was a little too handsy out there. Crazy though. Mega MC3 says it has to be we are getting just as much, if not more, than these other teams, yet they get every soft BS foul and we get nothing, even when it's the most obvious foul on us. I think that as fans of our team, of our favorite teams, we're always going to be a little bit more biased towards our team, right? There are definitely calls I feel like we should have gotten. There are calls that I feel like the other team shouldn't have gotten. But at the end of the day, as long as we're winning, I'm not going to be too down in the dumps about it because they're getting it done. They're getting it done. And they're doing it in some crazy ways. On the defensive end, they are shutting some shit down. I mean, for real, they are shutting things down. And one of the players that has really stood out to me through this early 7-game stretch, my friends, is Jerome, who had another night in which he picked up a few more steals, 2 more steals in the night. That brings his steal total to 11 through 8 games. This man, I think I posted it from the maybe the second quarter mark or the third quarter mark, where Jerome was averaging 10.8. He was averaging a steal every 10.8 minutes. Insane. This dude, he may not be called upon through large stretches of every single game because he has had 2 games this season where he's played under 10 minutes, but he has now had 6 games in which he's played over 15 minutes. And although he only scored 6 points tonight, his defensive effort, his ability to move the ball, the threat of the 3-point shot from him, the ability to orchestrate in the pick and roll, be a lob threat, that floater that he has out there. These are all different facets of Jerome's game that have been impactful to start the season. But where he has impressed me the most, perhaps, is on the defensive end. He's constantly in the passing lanes. He's getting deflections. He's trying his best to stay in front of his man. And having a 6'5" guard out there gives you a ton of lineup versatility. Like, I really don't ever want I don't truly ever want a 3-guard lineup out there for as much as we need it. I mean, for as much as we might want it at times, but Jerome's size definitely helps. Definitely helps. Beast Girl says, I don't even care that both these wins were real close, just as long as we got a win from a hungry ass Bucks team that's thirsty as fuck for a win right now. 1-6 is a hard mountain to climb. It definitely is, but it is the beginning of the season. As the season wears on, they'll probably pick things up, but taking these early L's is definitely not going to help. And getting a 2-0 sweep in back-to-back games for them definitely feels good. And in terms of seeding, I think there's going to be a lot of restructuring in the NBA, in the East in general this season. After Boston and Cleveland, it's really, to me, like a drop-off. I'm saying, man, I truly do feel like there is a drop-off from after Boston and Cleveland, because when you look at teams like New York that are trying to figure it out, trying to integrate these new pieces in, it's going to take some time for them to gel. You look at teams like Orlando, who just lost Paolo for a considerable amount of time, and they're going to have a tough time trying to make up for his absence, because 4 to 6 weeks and then however much longer it could be possibly after that, that's a lot of ground that they could potentially have to make up. Because honestly, they were so reliant on him for creation. And so I think Orlando's going to be in a state of flux. Indiana, they're prior to tonight's game, they're off to a 2-4 start. I mean, I'll never truly count Miami out as long as Spoelstra is at the helm and the control and everything. But at the end of the day, I'm not fearful of them at all. I am not fearful of them at all. Then you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, they're clearly going to prioritize health with the likes of Embiid, the likes of George. Those guys will rest whenever they can. And while I do believe that they'll be a playoff team, they will probably end up being a top 6 seed, in my opinion, in the East. I do not believe that they will be healthy entering the playoffs. Just don't. And I'll leave it at that. They're talented when they're all together. You still have Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, and a slew of other guys over there that can do some things from an individual standpoint. But nobody really in the East outside of Boston truly scares me. And my whole point in saying all that was that things are going to be weird looking from a seeding standpoint. And as long as Cleveland can manage to not, I would love to, don't make no mistake, I would love to go up against Boston in the playoffs, a rematch of that series, but I would hope to have that series come in the Eastern Conference Finals. What I don't want is to have to face them in the second round. I'm being very clear on that. I think we have what it takes to beat them, but I would much rather us have to go through 2 other teams and then meet them in the Eastern Conference Finals. One, because I think it would do massive ratings for the NBA. For 2, I think it would be more meaningful, right? One of those 2 teams will likely represent the Eastern Conference. If they're able to, let's say, I don't know, have a rematch with Orlando in the first round or some shit like that, then they go up against a New York in round 2 or some, I don't know how it's all going to break down, but I say all that to say I would much rather them take Boston on in a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals rather than these semifinals. The conference semis. Fucking me up. Double J says Niang was good offensively, but Def missed Wade's defensive rebounding. Bit of a void without him at the 4. And so, yeah, I mean, without Niang, without Wade, without Strus, without LeVert out there, your options are kind of limited in terms of your front court because you're already dependent on Niang to give you quality backup 4 minutes. And Wade can also do that in specific lineups where he can slide over to that 4 and then maybe Mobley slides over to the 5, or you have him in a lineup opposite Jarrett Allen at the 5 and he's at the 4. So not having him out there presses Niang into even bigger of a role, right? And so when he's hitting his shots like he did tonight, he went 3 of 6 from the 3-point distance. It definitely is impactful. And then the rebounding is something that it's going to kind of be hit and miss with him. And defense is what it is. There will be moments when George Niang has like a quality one-on-one possession like he did against Bobby Portis the other night. And then there will be other games in which he will be completely exposed on the defensive end. What helps is that Niang is in the best shape of his Cleveland tenure, and he is running the floor a little bit quicker out there. So I'll take it. John Vaughn says Knicks are much softer. I'd like a rematch. I'd love a rematch too. I'm hoping that would come in the first or second. Mega MC3 says Alec Clausen, Embiid is the biggest fraud MVP there has ever been. No team other than Boston is a true threat to us this year. Remember, we're doing this good while not even being close to our peak yet. Same. I mean, you look at Boston, I still don't think they have Kristaps Porzingis available yet. So there's a whole nother element to their offense and defense that he will add. Cleveland doesn't have Strus available, and they're still capable of putting up high point totals and clamping down on defense when necessary. Double J says Cat can't guard either big, and he's food in the pick and roll. I think we actually match up better against New York now. We absolutely do. We have some of the types of players on our roster that would definitely help in a matchup like this. And if they're intent on keeping Dean Wade in the starting lineup, that could go a long way. So we'll see. Dr. Claus 77 says this team surviving Dame shooting in the Jackson / Green assault. Yeah, man, I got to give it up to Milwaukee because they could have just sold tonight. They could have chalked it up as an L without Giannis out there, and then they refused to die. They refused to go down. You got a huge amount of points from Damian, 36 to be exact. You got a 21.18 rebound night from Bobby Portis in relief of Giannis, and then you obviously had a big shooting night from AJ Green, and Jackson came up with some pretty big shots. Everybody really tried to do their part. Pat Connaughton had 7, 4, and 5. There were just performances from up and down that roster that weren't necessarily expected from those guys. So hats off to them. They really, really stood up to Cleveland in a major way without their best player. Soft Taco says, don't worry, I wore my jersey and beanies today to send us for the win. As you can see, I got my Darius Garland All-Star jersey on as well. Was bringing me back to 2021-22 vibes. Such a great season, such a fun season. Talking in Grubba Media says, always wanted to know why many people put Philly in that upper echelon in the East when they're a second round exit. Every other exit every year, they haven't been to the toe. I'm just really not able to read today, or the comments are poorly written. I don't know. When they're a second round exit every year, they haven't even been to the Eastern Conference Finals. Heat deserve more love. I agree. Philly, until they can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals in the Embiid era, I know they just don't scare me all that much. Talking to Grubman also says that was a great comeback win from a hungry Bucks team. Absolutely was. John Vaughn says Bucks played well. Portis could not play any better. Bobby Portis gets a lot of hate. I noticed in the other day when I was tweeting about him, he gets a lot of hate from Bucks fans too. But he, to me, is a very solid player. I don't know. He was a player I definitely love to have on the Cleveland bench. I'll tell you that much. Definitely capable of providing an offensive spark. He's a solid rebounder, and he can knock down the 3 ball. So I don't know why you wouldn't like Bobby Portis, but it is what it is. Overall, just a really fun night of basketball. Really good basketball has been played by this team all year. And even when they're playing sloppy, even when they're looking like they're getting ready to take their first L, they find a way to pull out a dub. And that's a great place to leave it at. As always, tell you guys, if you like to reach out to me, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you would like to join the It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot of said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com, and I will send you an invite. If you are watching on X, because I know a lot of you are, go over to YouTube. As I keep telling you guys this, but I'm going to keep repeating it every single time we're on stream. Go over to YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, watch on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, do the same. You never know how much you help a brother out. Go Cavs.